and welcome to the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education regular meeting. It is October 8th, 2025. Are we in compliance with open meeting law notifications?
Yes, we are.
Please call the roll.
Wyman.
Here.
DeWitt.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Herzog.
Here.
Hess.
Here.
Smeltney.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
We have a forum.
Wonderful. And now I'd like to invite three of our students to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Mason Vang, grade 5, Raul San Luis, grade 5, and Lucy Arguello, grade 4, and they are from Menominee School.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for participating tonight. We have Lucy first. Thank you. And Raul, a certificate of appreciation for you. Are you having a good school year? Excellent. And Mason, thank you very much, and thank you for coming tonight. We always love it when students can be part of our meeting. So enjoy the rest of your school year. Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Okay, and I do not see Mrs. Galeazzi. Does anyone see Mrs. Galeazzi?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, Dr. Davis, the land acknowledgement.
Yes, as we gather today, we'd like to acknowledge that in Oshkosh, we're on the ancestral homelands of the Ho-Chunk Nation and Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin, who lived along the western shores of Lake Winnebago, Wisconsin's largest freshwater lake, entirely within its borders. We acknowledge these indigenous sovereign communities who have stewarded this land throughout generations and pay respect to their elders, past and present. We welcome the duty and opportunity to share stewardship of these lands.
Thank you. And next we have approval of agenda. Is there anyone that would like any items from the agenda moved? Okay. We will carry on with our agenda. Board President's report. Bittersweet tonight for our first item, and that's a recognition of retirement. And that is for John Andrew Nehans, our Executive Director, Business Services, and he has been with the district since 2020, and his effective date of retirement will be July 29th, 26. So we still have him for a while, and we won't get all teary-eyed tonight, but we are acknowledging his retirement. And I'm not even going to say wish him well, because he has a lot of work to do before he retires. And Drew, we've appreciated all of your effort. We thank you so much for making the community understand the numbers. I think that's been the greatest gift that you have given us, is the ability for community members to be engaged in the process, and that certainly was apparent during the referendum. The numbers were easy to understand, and I think that's what made for a successful referendum. So thank you very much for that. More to come, more accolades. Keep working hard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Herzog.
Would you like me to make some remarks when we get to that agenda item, or would you like, would that be appropriate now?
Let's do it now.
Okay. I was surprised to learn that Mr. Nehans was retiring this soon. I was on the board. I think I'm the only one who was on the board when he was appointed back in 2020. And I recall the positive anticipation of his joining the district at that time. And personally, I would say he is not disappointed. Just some examples would be he's promoted the use of the 3 Waves Clinic to help reduce our healthcare costs. He's recommended moving the district to self-funding for healthcare as another way of reducing our costs. He's recommended use of district funds rather than PTO raising to pay for playgrounds, which I know has gone over well with our parents and families. He's worked at reducing the mill rate for taxpayers and purposes. He's helped us pay down our debt. He's looked to find ways to make appropriate compensation adjustments for employee groups whose compensation lagged behind peers in other districts. And that was all done in 5 years, which I think is pretty remarkable. My overall takeaway, I think, with Drew will be that he has really served as a good steward of the district's resources. And so I want to thank you for that and look forward to working with you for the next, 8 months, or 10 months until your retirement takes effect. So thank you for all you've done for the district, the students, and the parents and the community.
Thank you, Dr. Herzog.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to the mission moment. My mission moment this week centers around our board of Education. It is Board of Education Appreciation Week, and I wanted to take a few minutes just to tell the board why I appreciate them so much. I have 4 main reasons, and the first one is their commitment to continuing to improve the educational experience with everything that you do between committee meetings, going to extra events, being part of it, listening to all of our constituents. You really do try to do what's right for our school district and most importantly, our students. Another really good thing about this board is they continue to ask questions. And it's so important that we continue to do that. So the final result of our decisions is really one that is best for all of our students, our teachers, staff, and community members. And that's really good that we do that. I want to thank you for all the time that you spend outside of meetings. There are endless committee meetings, events that all of us go to at some point depending on our time and our interest, so I thank you for that. And I personally appreciate the individual experiences and backgrounds that you all come with. Because of our vast diversity in all of the areas that we cover, we really can make good decisions that are well-rounded and come with one voice, and I really appreciate that. And even if it's not a unanimous voice, it's a voice, and it's a voice that's representing this community well. So thank you very much for everything that you do for our school district, and we look forward to another great year of school. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your leadership as our board leader here.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, so we'll kick it over for some homecoming conversations, and we'll start with what's going on with the Wildcats.
All right, so for the last month, it's been pretty busy, mostly with homecoming things. Starting off with our, oops, oh wait, sorry, wait, how do I go back? Okay, so starting off, our ASL team is 1-4 right now. Our boys soccer team is 3-6-1, and girls tennis, which had their very last practice today, is 4-5. Varsity football is 1-6. Both the girls swim and dive team is 2-2. Along with girls golf, they are 1-8, and then girls volleyball is 4-2. We kicked off homecoming with our North versus West Powder Puff game last Monday. And while we may have lost against North, we did have, I would say it was a win in our books because we dedicated the game towards breast cancer awareness since it was coming up on October. So we dedicated halftime to do a miracle minute where we raised $161 with buckets and then had an additional donation of $175 from our booster club. So in total we raised $336, which is going to be donated to a local charity from De Pere. And then another big thing that student council did was we wanted to find a way to bring back like the excitement about homecoming and a little bit of competitiveness and just get people really engaged. So we brought back the Spirit Trophy. So throughout the week, all the students had chances to earn points for their grade through things like dressing up, participating in homecoming activities, attendance towards these different activities. And then the winners were actually the juniors, which was pretty cool. We did different things like Ironman volleyball, powder puff, and kickball, along with all of our teachers holding fun W hours throughout the week, whether that was just some chill, relaxing movie times, fun games that they could do during W hour, or just like more extra study time or one-on-one. Then throughout the week,
Key Club also ran a food drive. We did take that over from Student Council this year to kind of take a new look on it. And our approach this year was it was going to be a grade against grade competition, even though it is against the other schools in our area. Our plan to help promote it was really grade against grade, and then our winning grade would get a fast pass into homecoming. So that ended up being the seniors. So seniors were able to get in door 20 while everyone else had to wait in line. It was longer. And then we raised 273.1 pounds, which is a really great turnout. We had an entire cart full. We had to push it all the way across the school. It took a little bit. And then homecoming, it was a really great success. We had about 900 ticket sales this year, which is really good. We moved it into the new gym, which was awesome because we were able to have air conditioning. So it was a good turnout because it was a lot cooler than it has been in past years. We definitely still sweaty, but not as bad. And then we also acknowledged Hispanic Heritage Month throughout the year, or throughout the month with our cafe. They did a horchata, which is like a different type of drink, and then also playing different types of music in the hallways during passing time. That's it from us.
All right, excellent. We'll kick it over to the Spartans for homecoming week.
Hello. So this week is our homecoming week, so I don't have as much updates about homecoming, but I can definitely let you in on the know of what we know right now. So homecoming, this week is homecoming, and we're having hour-long excels with different fun games. I know we have grade against grade Power Puff, and so everyone's really excited to kind of that rivalry with each class. Like today, I think it was the juniors and the sophomores going against each other. So when we were walking in the choir class, everybody was pretty still riled up about it, blaming the refs, obviously. And then dress-up days right down there. Me and my friend were Glinda and Elphaba, so like one of those duo days. So everyone's going all out, having fun. And our theme is Haunted Homecoming, as you can see in the background there in our photo op. Yeah, just a lot of fun. And with varsity girls tennis, yesterday the team went to Kohler for subsectionals, and their season is done. And everyone was so excited to, I think the day before they went to Kohler, they were all like, oh my God, like we're so nervous, I don't know if we're gonna do it. And I don't think anybody like passed farther, but everyone was so happy, and it just looks like everyone bonded throughout the year. And the football team, undefeated, 7-0. Very proud of that. We're going against Sheboygan North, which are 5-2 right now, on Friday, which is our homecoming game. And October 17th is the D2 Spotlight against Notre Dame. And it'll just be a cool opportunity for different, I think it's like colleges and different organizations to be looking at what players we have or what we can do. Which is, and that's our last game. We were 50-0. We won, which is great. So season almost done. They won the meet yesterday, and that's a photo from that meet yesterday. My friend Eliza, who's in there, she couldn't stop boasting about how she, I think, beat her own PR in her swimming. It's just the homecoming spirit is coming through in sports as well, which is always fun to see. And then Squirrel Girl goes to college with our drama department. We got to confirm on like the dates for it, which is October 23rd through the 25th at 7 p.m. in the North Auditorium. I think last time I gave a kind of overall plot about it. And yeah, from what I hear, everyone's really excited to be performing it. And that's all for right now.
That's great.
All right, great, thank you. So in addition to all the homecoming spirit, so I just want to thank you guys again for your leadership. I know there's a lot of extra work that goes into homecoming, along with all the extra work for our teachers, staff, administrators, to make these weeks happen and make them memorable. It's an important part of the high school experience. So thank you to everyone who's put in those extra efforts over the last couple of weeks. We will start tonight at Reed Elementary. So first graders at Reed are developing strong foundational math skills through their fun, hands-on activities using beans. The students are mastering concepts of place value by grouping beans into containers and representing units of tens and ones. This creative method of math, making math more tangible and engaging for our young Reed Rockets. So keep up the good work over at Reed. Perry Tipler Middle School successfully hosted a club and activity day, providing students with an opportunity to explore diverse interests and discover new talents. Teachers led a variety of creative and physical activities, catering to a wide range of student interests. This dedicated day promoted student engagement outside of the classroom, strengthening social connections and fostering a more dynamic and well-rounded school experience for everyone involved. Third graders at Oakwood Elementary are taking charge of their math learning by leading innovative math forums, a student-led session where students share and explain their unique strategies for solving a single problem with their peers. This exercise encourages students to compare different approaches, ask critical questions, and build deeper understanding of concepts. It's empowering students to be leaders and critical thinkers in the classrooms. Our Oshkosh North senior football players recently celebrated their most influential teachers before a game. This tradition spotlights the profound impact our educators have and their commitment to the development of the whole student, both academically and personally. We thank those outstanding staff members for their mentorship and for their lasting positive difference in the lives of our students. Acquire Restoration hosted a second annual Greater Valley Mini Golf Open this past August, raising over $3,000 to directly support teachers and students in our district. Working with our district's education foundation, the event has become a community tradition focused on helping teachers. The successful event highlights how local business leaders can have a direct and meaningful impact on providing enriching experiences for our students in our classrooms. So thank you to Acquire. Roosevelt Elementary recently partnered with the Oshkosh Public Library to host a fall family night. Activities included an exciting scavenger hunt, interactive math games, a creative craft station, and the ever-popular Lego wall. Families were even able to register for library cards and check out books, filling up their custom book bags they made during the event that evening. This collaboration fostered a strong connection between home, school, and the community. Oshkosh West High School was earned a spot on the prestigious U.S. News and World Report list of best high schools in the U.S. This distinguished mark ranking Oshkosh West among the elite schools nationwide, specifically positioning them in the top 33% of all high schools across the country. So congratulations to the entire Wildcat community on that accomplishment. Community members are invited to our special public dedication of the new Merrill Memorial Corner on Friday, October 17th at 11:30 a.m. The memorial honors the legacy of former Merrill Elementary and Middle School, and this event provides a wonderful opportunity for generations of alumni and community members to gather and celebrate our past and our futures. So please join us for that event if you can. Again, there's a glance at what a busy couple of weeks has been. So certainly out and about, and appreciate everybody's accommodations and making it great. Spent a great morning this morning. I'm doing the walk to school day over at Oak Lawn. So it was a great event. So I appreciate Principal Joe Hanknick and continuing to support that. And being a celebrity is kind of nice every once in a while. Also, in addition to this, want to spotlight and lift up the quarterly newsletter that was started for this year. Katie Neiman's work on that to be able to provide the community with some extra spotlights and another venue for us to communicate all the great things that are going on across the district. So thank you to Katie for that work. And that concludes the superintendent's good news report for tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to District Administrator supplemental reports. And the first one is the referendum update. And this is Mr. Yerke and Mr. Nehans.
Drew said with his retirement tonight, I'm on the hook for all referendum updates. Actually, I told Drew I would take it. Good evening, everybody. I will take you through some referendum updates. Girls, happy homecoming week. Are you tired this week after last week? I figured. Before I jump into a handful of slides we have with some Franklin updates, I'll take you through some key communication pieces. Val Phillips Middle School track, if you've driven by there recently, the grass looks fantastic. The track is ready to be striped. The shed is complete. The fence around the basketball court, the completion was scheduled for this afternoon, so I haven't been over there yet, but the basketball court, I would say, is 99% ready to go. The memorial, we're just waiting for some plaques to be fastened, and then the memorial site will be completed. So all in all, that project is just about ready to wrap up. Kids should be on it next week, playing hoops over there at recess, which will get them out of the gym and make teachers' lives much easier over at Vel. The dedication, you saw Dr. Davis just talked about October 17th at 11:30. With the rain date will be publicized if we have inclement weather that day. The 2025 referendum projects, and again, I'll get into some pictures in a second of Franklin and Oakwood, but we're about 50% complete on the initial drawings for those two buildings. Want to compliment Kat and Susan for their involvement. Picking out everything from carpet to casework, deciding where classrooms are going to go and what that looks like is not an easy task, and they have been involved every step of the way. With Franklin and Oakwood, there's going to be a lot of shifts in those two buildings in the coming year. There'll be no changes this year as far as where kids are placed and what that structure looks like. But next year, it'll be a bit of a shell game in those buildings as construction takes place, and we're starting to work through that plan so it doesn't disrupt education for kids or teachers. Any big moves that take place will take place over spring break when kids aren't in the building. It'll be exciting for kids because their building will look different. There may be open ceilings, they will see trucks in the parking lot, but we will do everything in our power to make sure the education isn't disrupted for kids during that process. The Oshkosh North High School Auditorium, we've put our team together. We've assembled members of the Oshkosh North Fine Arts team, their admin. Some gentlemen and ladies from central office will play a part in that planning. We have a site visit scheduled to Sun Prairie and Neenah, November 7th with that team to look at two brand new auditoriums that are each built differently to get some ideas on what we want to do here. That project will also cause some disruptions with next year's parking situation. No impact this year on what that will look like, but we will likely close the west parking lot at Oshkosh North. We met with that team, and they're okay with that process. There will be enough parking. It will likely impact how we do parking passes, which is a good thing. We'll get both schools on the same page with how that looks going forward, but there will be some parking adjustments with the Oshkosh North piece. Air conditioning, that bid is likely to go out very soon. Mr. Fox has done a great job of doing a lot of that work and planning in-house to save our district money. And then the Carl Traeger Playground, initial design meetings has been held. Mr. Nehans has been leading the charge with meeting with all stakeholders to make sure we do that project well.
Excuse me, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Is that a complete redo of the playground, or is that going to enhance or supplement or replace other pieces?
Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a complete redo of that
Okay.
playground just based on liability with old pieces and trying to repurpose. Insurance carriers don't tend to appreciate that.
I think that building is going on 30 years old, so that would make
Yeah.
sense.
And full accessibility is similar to
Oh,
the
good.
model like over at Menominee. So that's an important mark as we move forward.
Thank you.
Just a few key milestones for you to take a look at as we progress through the planning of multiple facilities. So the Franklin and Oakwood, again, we're about 50% with the initial drawings. With those buildings, we are looking at value engineering at the start instead of at the end, how we can do everything in our power on the beginning here to put us in a position to come in under budget on those projects. Carl Traeger, the final plans are out, and then the new middle school, we've had discussions this morning, and then that core planning team's been assembled, and we begin soon. I couldn't tell you the exact date, but it is very soon where we start to talk about the new middle school. Some preliminary drawings. Keep in mind, these aren't the final product. Again, we're about 50%, and there may be some adjustments to these. Also, the furniture in there is just the stock photo furniture. Our lunchroom tables, we would not go with white with kids. So you can see those kind of the color patterns, the design of our gym and our cafeteria. The branding is an important piece. We want that branding to be recognizable and talked about when people walk in our buildings, and kids and families in our communities proud of those buildings. Interior, you can see on the picture on the left, that quarter, in front of those doors is a piece of rubber. So that, from a design standpoint, with shoes, will add some stability to our hallways. Classroom on the right, when you see the casework up against that back wall, that's rubber in front of the casework as well. Kinetics on the floor. Again, that will not be the furniture in that room. Music room and art room, state of the art with the sound in the music room, the space, the design, the natural light. Same for our art room. The art room is a rubber floor. Some Oakwood pictures, a neat feature in the Oakwood cafeteria. You can see the two-step kind of a stage there, and behind that, you can't see it, but there is wheelchair access to get from the upper portion there down into the cafeteria. And then the gym, I think we have seating for up to 2 classes in the bleachers, which will be nice and something that those 2 principals haven't had when they have a whole school assembly. To be able to put 2 classes into the bleachers, kids on the floor will make a difference with student management. The picture on the left, you can see that's kind of a collaborative learning space right outside the classroom, with the furniture on the carpet. And then a picture on the right is your classic classroom. Music room and art room, similar to Franklin with the floor design, the sound panels. Again, those are just a few of the pictures we currently have. Any questions on the referendum updates?
I have one.
Yep.
At the listening session, you talked about public hours for Vel and basketball, et cetera. Could you share that information?
Yeah, we don't have set times yet, but the discussion is right now, there are no lights there. So the safety piece after dark with the basketball courts and the track, what we've discussed is signage similar to what our parks have, where at dusk, we want people off of those facilities for safety reasons, for the neighbors as well. So looking at putting signage up that says, here's the rules for use after dusk, please stay off this facility, because we do not have lights there.
Very good.
Any other questions on the referendum? Go ahead.
I do have a question. I was asked by an art teacher if art staff will have input into the art rooms in the new additions.
Yeah, I would say we're always taking input from teachers, whether it's on the furniture request design, and they'll transfer that hopefully to the principal and back up to our core planning team, but we are always open to feedback from the people who are living in those spaces 8 to 10 hours a day.
Very good, thank you.
I'd just like to make one follow-up to the Val Phillips, the track and basketball area. I think the fences are coming down. They were down, at least most of the construction fences are down today, so it looks like it's looking great on my drive here. But my only encouragement is if we are going to put signs up at Val, there are other school facilities that have very limited lighting as well. We need to be consistent across the district. If we put limits on one place, we have to put them everywhere.
Agreed, and that's a conversation topic I have on our next executive meeting to discuss about all of our playgrounds.
Yeah, good point.
I have a question. I know a while back, a lady had come in and asked about a memorial tree being placed. I'm just wondering, for a past student who had passed on, I'm just wondering if there is an update, or is that something that is going to occur?
Yeah, so there'll be a tree. It won't be necessarily in the formal memorial area. It'd be in that corner,
Sure.
just because of space.
Right.
And we previously didn't have a plaque. Like, we had the tree, but we didn't have a plaque like in that space. So it'll so that the dedication of that tree will be in that corner.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I think
Yep.
that that's something that the community and
Yes.
her family would really enjoy.
Yep.
We've been discussing that at
Absolutely.
facilities and finance over the last couple of meetings.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, we have memorials at some of our other sites that will be under construction, and we're talking to those families and finding different spaces for those pieces.
Thank you.
That's good.
Any other questions?
Thank
Just
you very much.
last, you can always find information on our school website on the Phase 2 agenda or referendum updates.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
And now we have Mr. Nehans for the budget variance report.
Good evening. So the budget report included in your materials is through the month of September. Again, this report is going to be a little bit light. We're 1 month into the school year, so very few real chances or opportunities for a lot of expense variances or revenue variances at this point. One thing I just want to reiterate from last month is the way we are going to be reporting out the monthly variance reports as we move through the year is really going to be based more on trend than comparison to prior year. Comparison to prior year is valid and useful if you've had consistent, good prior years. Last year was obviously a bad year for us financially, so comparing it to last year isn't necessarily as valid or as informational than comparing it to more of a trend and trying to get back to that percentage. So part of your report this month was really referring to that, where trend would be that we'd be at 14.43% of expenses per budget, and right now we're at 14.75%. So we're slightly ahead of trend. On the bad side, we are looking into where those can be. One of our challenges right now, as we have transitioned into a more robust and realistic ERP system, which is a software system that combines and connects all of the HR functions, all of the finance functions, and any kind of capital assets we have. That system combines all of them and makes them talk together and useful to share information. We finally have a fully functioning system. While doing that, we've had some interesting things within payroll, where we used to split payroll for some of our hourly workers into 2 different object codes as a delineation. With the new system, we aren't able to do that. So analyzing the data has been a little more challenging, because I'm trying to compare one data source with what used to be 2 line items to one to try to figure out where our variances are hitting. But that's something that we will be working through and then being able to report out a little bit better and more clearly in upcoming months. The other aspect of the report that I just want to also touch on, we talked a lot last month about our Chartwells taking over food service. I spoke a little bit too soon last month on saying hopefully our menu changes would happen in October. We had a lot more inventory than I was aware of. So Chartwells informed me today that real menu variety and updates to their menu will realistically happen in November. So there's still going to be things you're going to be seeing. It's just going to be a little bit longer than what I didn't anticipate we had that much inventory. We had quite a bit of inventory on stock that we have to eat through. So are there any questions at all on the finance report?
No, but I can just tell you that is a hot topic. Like, I think Maddie asked it at the last meeting. My son asks me every time he sees a new thing, he's like, when are we going to start seeing the changes? So I think there's some excitement growing out there. So hopefully it's cool.
Yeah, and we've been seeing, at this point, again, Chartwells is trying to work their way into it. We are very close to solidifying a permanent director on site within the next week. We'll be getting that finalized. I would anticipate that she would be starting within the next month. She obviously has a notice at her other district that she's in currently. But we've been seeing between 3 and 10 staff members of theirs most every day, and they have been getting out into the buildings and doing more. And when the director comes on, we will be introducing her. She has a lot of really neat ideas and getting student input on how we can really start getting some excitement around participation.
Great.
Can you explain what ERP stands for?
So ERP is the Enterprise Resource Planning software. Again, it's the combination. It's a software system that allows you to take your HR department, all of your payroll, all of that, connect it with your finance and budgeting and your facilities, your capital items that you would have.
Okay.
So it's a system that truly integrates all three. The prior version of Skyward we had did finance and capital kind of by itself, and it did HR kind of by itself. Our system in Oshkosh locally was never created or set up when it was put in to have HR and business talk.
Okay.
So HR has a whole different, if you look at reports, HR is going to tell you, here's what our staffing is. When we run finance budget reports, they tell you whole different numbers and different figures, which is not ideal and not good. So this new system really is marrying those together. So what HR has, we can verify in business, and as we push down staffing to match budget during that process, HR is seeing and being able to validate that we are seeing the same things.
That makes perfect sense, especially given HR costs are our biggest expense.
Yeah, and it's certainly any organization our size really needs a functioning ERP system. Fortunately, we now are in that. We have to get it fully operational and get it all loaded in, but it's long overdue that we have that kind of a system in our size operation.
Good.
And that's one of the things that Drew and I have talked about, just as kind of the last, the one of many last maybe for Drew, is to be able to make sure that we can use that software to be able to better inform down in our system. So like principals, for examples, and really understanding the staffing impacts that they have at their buildings. Typically that's been at the HR office and at the business office, but to really have, more informed, from a principal standpoint, more informed, more empowered as they're making their decisions as we're moving forward. So that's something that'll be a value add for us definitely as we're working through this next budget.
Yeah.
And the next staffing patterns. So there'll be a lot more to come on that transition.
Awesome. Thank you.
So you refer to it as ERP, and you said the old program was Skyward. Just so that we know the terminology going forward, what's the current name of the software in case you use that instead of ERP?
Yeah, typically we would call it locally, it's cumulative.
Okay.
Or we call it Q.
Okay.
Either way. But that's our new system. The old system was SMS.
Okay.
Is what it was called.
Skyward is the name.
Knowing the
Skyward's the
acronyms.
company.
Okay,
Their
still Skyward, but
software,
it's
their
new.
software is cumulative.
New
Okay.
application.
So when we forget what
Yes.
program we're working with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, Mr. Yerke, update on enrollment numbers after third Friday counts.
Well, the third Friday count is not as easy as it seems with just a third Friday count being butts in seats, so to speak. So I want to give Rachel Bauer, our sis in the district, a huge compliment for the work she does tracking down kids, working with school secretaries. Because with our funding formula, we know that every kid matters in our district when it comes to being able to count them on this third Friday. The third Friday is complicated in the fact that we know we're going to have kids who are out sick on that Friday, kids who are on vacation on that Friday, kids who don't come to school that Friday, and we want to make sure we can count them on our rolls on that funding piece. So if they're not there on Friday, but they were there on Thursday, there's work to do to track down, or then they're on Monday. So it's not a simple calculation in just who was there on Friday. It's making sure all the other moving pieces to kids on vacation or kids who are sick or kids who might be on a mental health hold or any other reason that we can still count them even though they may not have been there on that third Friday. The third Friday is also not the end all view. We have an opportunity to reconcile throughout the time frame of now to January. We can resubmit reports to the DPI based on kids that may be attending that weren't here on that third Friday. But our current numbers, as you've seen in your board report, 8,923 was the official third Friday count number. That is down 185 from last year. That does fall pretty close in line to the UW Oshkosh Applied Population Lab Survey that was done last year. If you remember the board report from last year, that survey and that demographic was in there.
From UW-Madison.
UW-Madison,
Yep.
excuse me. That is pretty close to the number that they estimated we would have. And I think the number is something along the lines of 90+% of districts in the state of Wisconsin are declining enrollment. So that is not uncommon. Our open enrollment numbers, we had a net loss of 310. So we had 194 open enroll in, which was up from last year. But we also had 504 open enroll out, which was more than last year. Some of those numbers, I talked to a couple of people with some historical piece in this building. My understanding is there's been a survey. I got those survey results from Kate Neiman on the open enrollment numbers. And I'd just like to share that the family exit survey that was put in place from January 7th to October 7th went to 433 families who left our district. Of those 433, we got 9 responses. Of those 9 responses, they were kind of all over the board, what you would imagine. So our conversations now as an operations team is how do we get better leading data on people who are thinking about leaving our district. So I have some ideas, and we'll talk about those as a team internally about how do we get in front of people who might be thinking about open enrolling out. So we have some better data. The current data comes after a family's already left us. So our job will be to get in front of families as they're thinking about this decision, to have conversations about how do we keep you in this district, and also exploring just ways that we can keep families here. Another piece of data I'd like to share that I pulled from Rachel Bauer today, actually, and I'm sorry it's not in your board packet, but we just discussed this today, was withdrawals from June of 2024 to June of 2025. It's just families that just have left our district, and the total is 902. Now, that's not open enrollment, that's just families, and here's the breakdown of really why. So we had 124 go to homeschool. We had 456 just move to a different city within Wisconsin. We had 155 move out of the state of Wisconsin. We had 105 families go to a parochial or a private school, and 124 homeschool. That gives you kind of a breakdown of, you know, people coming in, people going out, but 902 from June to June left our district for those various reasons. And I
I'm
think-
sorry, sir. You said 124 homeschool?
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct, you're welcome. So, any questions on either the third Friday count number, the open enrolls in and out, the family exit survey, or the withdrawals from June to June?
I'm just curious if you could get the enroll, like for that June to June, if we could also hear at some point whether it's in any kind of update, just with what the numbers are for new, I guess, was it new enrollments?
Yeah,
New
New
families?
families coming in? Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Inverse.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question on the third Friday count. Students we cannot count because absence, blah, blah, blah. 24, 25 were 52, and 25, 26 was 48. Are those the 48 people that Rachel is trying to connect with to see if they're still with us, and we may be able to add that group back in
Correct.
when we revise?
Yep, kids who haven't shown up for school, families that are on vacation who we have not been able to get in touch with, kids who might be juvenile detention or a mental health facility. So it's tracking kids down and getting verification and then getting them back in our schools. Yep. So hopefully when we reconcile that report, we can add students to our rolls.
That's great. Thank you.
I just have one little more comment.
Yeah.
Maybe my last one, I don't know. I know that I had brought up the survey a handful of times, and so I'm happy to hear that we're actually able to maybe see some results and that you and your team are working to kind of get a little bit more information. I mean, only, I think you said nine
Correct.
families had responded out of how many?
433.
Sure, so I just want to say thank you for your work in trying to get a little bit more information on that. I think that is important to know why these families are leaving other than the 9 people, so thank you for that.
I've got a number of questions. And I think 185 is a lot compared to the last several years. We didn't see anything like that until COVID. So I think there's more that we can do with this. You know, if you're only losing 20, overall account of 20, then doing surveys and stuff or tallying what grades did they fall out in or what schools did they fall in isn't going to be meaningful. It's kind of like, what could you do with the 9 surveys that you got? There wasn't much you could do with that. But you got enough data here to look at something, and I think we should explore some sort of patterns, and I would suggest taking it to facilities and finance, because I'm looking at enough stuff. But I think you made the comment about the applied population labs, and I think I agree. The applied population lab, the UW-Madison study said that we were going to lose 100 students roughly a year. But if you looked at birth rates, it really only said that we were going to lose 10 per year because of the birth rate issue. And so I think we got to look really closely at why we are losing these. I've got a couple questions, but I think the questions are more directed at Drew. If you could, Drew, potentially. I think we looked at the budget, maybe it was a month ago, and at the time, there's a distinction between third Friday count and then membership is the budgetary number, right? And I think we had said when we were looking at the budget, the membership number remained the same. And my question to you is, was that because we didn't know this, or was that because of, I know there's like 1-year exemptions before it hits us kind of thing, and so I see a loss of 185 and I go, 1, is that going to do anything for this year's budget? And then 2, what is the ramification for us for next year's budget on third Friday count? Could you talk a little to that?
So we were looking in the third Friday count that we were modeling. We were looking at a head count decrease of 32, and then summer school staying flat. And then so that 3-year rolling average then saw an actual, a slight decrease in the overall, but I think it was fairly minimal. But it was still showing that realistically we were probably going to be in declining enrollment, so we have the declining enrollment exemption. So we will just be further in, and I know we talked about this at the meeting where we set the budget. If our enrollment came in less than what we were thinking of, that exception just gets larger for this year. Now, next year, to your question on next year, that resets our base starting point for that calculation at that lower amount, because what's probably going to be, I think we're predicting close to 150,000 for a one-time exemption. For that, that's probably realistically going to be closer to 3 or 4 times that. So that amount gets made, so we get made whole this year. Next year, they're going to back out, just say it's $500,000. They'll back out $500,000 from our base, from our current, and that gets our new starting base. So what our revenue limit will be next year, anytime you're in declining enrollment, that base for the next year shrinks by that declining amount. You get made whole for whatever declined that year, and then it continues to come down. Does that make sense?
Roughly, yeah.
Sorry, it's hard.
I get it.
I think
It'd be easier to illustrate, but
yeah,
it's hard.
and we'll have certainly some more in-depth conversations as we move forward. I think the and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the idea is that, like, in a declining enrollment situation, especially as we're on the front end of that for a year, the way that it's set up is to take the edge off of that. But as you would look at a continuation of decline, like, there'll be some significant changes that we would need to make from a budget standpoint to be able to make sure that we're keeping up with that. It would be wise for us to be able to take a look at that, like, longer view of where we're headed as we would set up the 26-27 budget. I think it's important to know that and not just say, well, we don't have to worry about it because we have an exemption, like, so we don't end up on a fiscal cliff for ourselves as we would move forward, because again, that's what our projections are showing. So we'll have a lot more information for the board, for facilities and finance, and for the board as we're moving forward into that. But that's certainly an area that internally we're looking at, and I think would be fiscally wise for us to plan in that direction.
So big picture, Brian, fair to say that the impact is delayed a year, but bottom line is, if we're enrolling fewer students, we're getting less revenue, and we're going to have to make some adjustments to right size to address that.
And that we should start making those adjustments for 26-27.
Correct.
And
While we're
not-
getting this
Yep,
gap
yep,
year,
and-
whatever you want to call
And
it.
to be able to do that because we have less kids that are in front of us, and making sure that we're following that trend. So that'll be important for us as we're strategically moving forward.
I appreciate the financial explanation. I think back to, I think the survey came, I think we were talking about the out-of-school enrollment. I wonder if we can survey some of those other categories that you had talked about. I appreciate that new data that you shared with us, talking about homeschooling and where they went to the other things. I appreciate we only got 9 out of the open enrollment, so maybe we're not going to get a whole lot out of these other ones, but I think that's a different source of trying to identify. We need to look at all of the ways that we are losing students and figure out, is there something that we can learn from that? Because it's a large number. And I think the one other point that I had was, for that new data that you talked about, I'm wondering, is it possible that we could see some historical? I don't know if that's available or not, but if it is, to me, looking at data is always in context in comparison to something, and to see what happened at prior years, and then what you shared with us to kind of get an idea of trend of where everything is going. I think that too would be interesting. And again, I would ask that you direct it to facilities and finance so they can. That would be great.
Yeah, I don't want to say for certain, but I have to believe we can pull that data
Right.
from our student information system.
Wonderful.
And we do just as a reminder, we do a second pupil count in January. So that would be that might be the natural time to be able to follow up. Excuse me, to be able to follow up on some of these asks as we, refine as we move forward.
Does 4K count into the third Friday count?
Yes, it does.
Means, I just have one thought. So survey data from families is one thing, right? But if companies are losing money or whatever, they follow where to. So what is the data on, do we know the data on neighboring school districts?
As
You
far
know,
as their enrollment trends?
Yeah, did they trend down too, or?
We can pull that information. We'll be able to go into DPI site and pull that information.
Okay.
I just have a quick comment that I appreciate. I do think it's important to do surveys of people leaving, and that's too late. So I do appreciate a renewed emphasis on trying to get to the root before people leave. And I think that will take it takes a lot of different communication and engagement. And I appreciate that you're at least talking about shifting that focus a bit to try to keep people here before it's too late.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I don't believe, we don't have any other reports this evening. We're looking at public forum right now.
We have nobody signed up.
We have no one signed up for a public forum this evening, so we'll move on to the consent resolution agenda. And we have one item on the agenda for this evening. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
DeWitt.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Wyman.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Very sad.
I almost voted no.
I know. I wanted to say with regret. Request for future items for committee review. Okay. Any announcements?
Real quick, I just want to say thank you to Principal Last at Oshkosh North, who hosted me last Friday for a nice visit, a nice chat.
Very good. Thank you. And we will now be adjourning to executive session while we're being considering disciplinary data of 3 different students. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move. Herzog.
Second, DeWitt.
Ford.
Aye.
Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Wyman.
Aye.
DeWitt.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned to executive session.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.